I think I once had a dream, right? Where the former First Lady was introducing me, right? Like, here it is. I mean, well, I talk about moments in your life. I've had such an incredible career that most folks who do this work never get an opportunity to be recognized, whether it's Paul Tufts' book, Whatever It Takes, whether it's Barack Obama deciding that they were going to replicate our work around the country. This moment right now is the most important honor. Now, I thought I knew the most important honor I ever had when Fortune magazine listed me as the 12th most influential person in the world. I thought that was it, right? So I'll tell you what I did. I went and I got a stack of those magazines, right? I took them home to my wife, Yvonne, and I've been trying to impress this black woman for 40 years, right? I said, honey, go ahead, look. And she looked and she saw, and she looked at me and said, couldn't make the top 10, huh? So this, now that didn't impress her, this will impress her. But my dear friend Angela Blackwell is here, and she knows the story of how Marian changed my life. Now, Marian has changed the lives of millions of children in this country. But there would not be a Harlem Children's Zone if not for Marian Wright Edelman. And I first saw Marian, I didn't meet her, I saw Marian at the very back of their national conference. And I was at a point in my life that I was desperate. The kids in Harlem were dying, they were being shot. We didn't have a plan, I didn't know what to do. And somebody said, Jeff, if you are hopeless, you gotta go to the Children's Defense Fund because they invigorate and they excite leaders. And I went there, I was way in the back, I was so far in the back. I knew Marian was a woman, but I didn't know she was a black woman. That's how far back I was. The first time I met her, and I saw a person who was uncompromising when it came to children. I don't care who you were, I don't care what you did. If Marian thought you were not putting children first, she didn't have time for you. And she called a group of us together to create the Black Community Crusade for Children. Now, this was before Black Lives Matter, before all the work in equity. Marian said black children faced the worst crisis in slavery. Kids were being slaughtered all over America. Nobody was doing anything about it. And Marian said, we have to stand up and we have to take charge of our lives. And she had us all at the Haley Farm. And we were there meeting and talking with folks. Angela knows this. I tell folks, the Harlem Children's Zone, it wasn't even my idea, right? We were sitting there trying to figure out how to save black children. And Otis Johnson, who later became the mayor of Savannah, Otis said he got so frustrated after about 2 years. He just said, if we want to solve this problem, this is what we have to do. And he wrote it on a blackboard. And I just took notes. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. And with Marian's support, thus was born the efforts to create the Harlem Children's Zone. This experience I have is replicated by organizations and people all over this country. She was a quiet force. She was the most humble person. Look, I chaired her board for years. I tried to at least get Marian to take a full salary. She was like, I'm doing this for children, and that's all I'm doing. And I have looked up to her as a role model. When it comes to values, when it comes to standards, Marian always said, children do not need weak advocates. If you don't have the stomach for this fight, get out the fight. We need people who are going to stand up and fight for the children in this country because it is going to be a war. What is happening to our kids in this country, even today, is a disgrace for everything America stands for. And Marian said, how long will you accept this and what are you willing to do to fight for these children? And you know, every time I thought I was tired, worn down, couldn't take no more, I'd run into Marian. That woman had more energy than 30 people, right? And she'd be like, "Jeff, what are you doing, gal? Come on, let's go out here. We're going out." I'm like, Marian, I'm tired. It's time to be tired. We got to save these children. With 5 Marian Wright Edelmans in this country, it would change America. It would change America. The force of this one person, the way she has changed the way we think about children, the child health program, teen pregnancy, the creation of the zone, all of that was because this one woman decided she would stand for our children. So it is with great humbleness, and I mean that. I love Marian. Those of you who knew how she was with us and how she nurtured us and how she supported us and how she encouraged us, I know what a formidable, impressive woman she was. I have always strived to be the kind of moral leader that Marian aspired us all to be. And I've fallen short. Marian made no compromises. Every now and then I think I gotta compromise a little bit, right? But you know what? But she said if children come first, then children come first. And she didn't care who or how powerful the person was. If you went against children, Marian was prepared to take you on. So I'd like to close this presentation with a poem I wrote for Marian. It was at the largest children's march in the history of the United States. Stand for Children, 1996. Over 300,000 people came to Washington, D.C. to fight for our children. And Marian led that. And that day I wrote a poem for that moment in our history. And in accepting this award, I would like to just dedicate this poem to the foremost children's advocate, not just in the United States, as far as I'm concerned, in the entire world. And so this is for Marian. The poem is called Take a Stand. Maybe before we didn't know that Corey is afraid to go to school, the store, to roller skate. He cries a lot for a boy of 8. But now we know each day it's true that other girls and boys cry too. They cry for us to lend a hand. Time for us to take a stand. And little Maria's window screens keeps out flies and other things, but she knows to duck her head when she prays each night for bed. Because in the window come some things that shatter little children's dreams. For some, the hourglass is out of sand. Time for us to take a stand. And Charlie's deepest secret wishes is someone to smother him with kisses and squeeze and hug him tight, so tight, while he pretends to put up a fight. Or at least someone to be at home who misses him. He's so alone. Who allowed this child-forsaken land? Look in the mirror. Take a stand. And on the Sabbath, when we pray to our God, we often say, "Oh, Jesus, Muhammad, Abraham, I come to better understand how to learn to love and give and lead the life you taught to live. In faith, we must join hand in hand. Suffer the children, take a stand." And tonight, some child will go to bed, no food, no place to lay their head, no hand to hold, no lap to sit, to give slobbery kisses from slobbery lips. So you and I, we must succeed in this crusade, this holy deed, to say to the children of this land, have hope, we're here. we take a stand. Thank you, Marian.